Good afternoon to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 16th as well as 17th February 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, before getting into the today's newspaper analysis, I have a certain update with regards to the other social media handles being operated by Ganesh IAS Academy. The other social media handles like Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit have also been operated by Ganesh IAS Academy. These are the social media handles apart from the YouTube channel where the current affair related information and also the exam related information will be provided. So the description for every handles is provided in the below description. So go ahead and have a look into it. Okay. Let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. Okay, let's analyze every article one by one. Proportionality in the electoral bond case. So this news is related to the recent judgment with regards to the electoral bond case. Okay, first we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to Indian polity, governance constitution. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 2 through a topic called polity, under a subtopic called government policies and interventions for development in various sectors and issues arising out of their design and implementation. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the details of the news. So the recent judgment in the electoral bond case, what the Supreme Court has said is that, see, the electoral bond restricts the free speech and are not proportional to its goal. So what are its goal? Its goal is to curb the black money and at the same time to provide right to privacy for the donors. So this is what the goal, and this goal is not proportional to the law. This is what the judgment been made by Supreme Court. And the judicial review of the electoral bond scheme involved, as I said, extent of the state's encroachment into the rights of individual and the proportionality of its objective. So the proportionality was weighted between the rights of individual and the law's objective, and in that it is not proportional to its goal. The objective is not proportional to its goal, that is to maintain the fundamental rights of people. And as I said, its objective is to curb the black money and protecting the donors' privacy. So this is what the details of the news, and we will look into the further analysis of the news. What is the proportionality test and how does the court decide whether the state action is proportional? See, the law passed should not interfere with the part 3 of the constitution, which lists out certain fundamental rights which is inviolable, and the state can only interfere with the article 19 subclause 1, which guarantees the fundamental right to free speech, but it has certain reasonable restrictions, and the test whether the action by the state in the name of reasonable restriction is proportional or not. Such kind of test is called as proportionality test, and this test has been carried out under this recent judgment of electoral bond case. See, in 2018, Supreme Court ruling also upheld the Aadhaar Act, in that the Chandrachud, who gave the dissenting opinion, said what he has said is that, see, the proportionality test is the dominant best practice of judicial standards for resolving disputes that involve either a conflict between two rights claim or between the right as well as the legitimate government's interest, and the test is deemed to guard against the arbitrary action of the state, so that the state cannot extinguish the right entirely even in pursuance of the legitimate state interest. That is, the main aim is to curb the arbitrary action of the states. So this is what the proportionality test is about, and that is the reason why it has been carried out. And the test was formally laid down as the best practice in 2017 by the 7-judge bench Puttaswamy ruling, which provided the judgment for the fundamental rights, that is the right to privacy. In that, what they have said is that right to privacy as the fundamental right, where the judges who gave the judgment, what they have said is that the concurring opinion of all the judges, and they have listed out the certain provision into it. The action is sanctioned by law. The proposed action must be necessary in a democratic society for a legitimate purpose, and the extent of such interference must be proportionate to the need for such interference, and there must be a procedural guarantee against the abuse of such interference. So these are all the thing under which a state action will be upheld. This is what the judgment been given under Puttaswamy case. And what is the argument made by the government is, see, in electoral bond case, the government had argued that curbing black money was the topmost priority or the objective of its electoral bond scheme, and at the same time protecting the donors' anonymity also another objective of this scheme. And while tackling the black money, because black money is fairly non-contentious, the government argued that the donors' anonymity is also legitimate state interest, and it seeks to give effect to the fundamental rights, that is the right to privacy of the donor. On the extent of interference with voters' right to know, the government argued that the right to information only operates against the information in the possession or in the knowledge of the state. It cannot operate for seeking the information which is not in the knowledge or in possession of the state. So this is what the thing is. And finally, the issue of safeguards, what the government has said is that, so all the details can be furnished on the criminal can be furnished for a criminal investigation. So this is what the argument made by the government. So how did Supreme Court apply the test? See, the Justice Khanna, while applying this proportionality test in this separate opinion, what he has said is that the donor anonymity cannot be a legitimate state aim. He also said that the voters' right to know supersedes the anonymity in the political party funding. So this is what the opinion of the one judge, and the Chandrachud, who is the Chief Justice of India, what he has said is that, however, he has applied a double proportionality test since the case involves balancing the facets of two competing fundamental rights, that is the right to information and the right to privacy. So applying a single proportionality would not be enough, so dual proportionality should be applied. This is what the opinion of Chief Justice of India is about. And Chief Justice of India in his opinion has pointed out that there are other less intrusive methods like electoral trust scheme to achieve the objective of curbing the black money and protecting the donor anonymity. So this is what the opinions or the judgment made by the respective judges of the electoral bond scheme. And what need to be studied further is, we should be aware of the Supreme Court as well as High Court power and its constitutional mandates and any others, the statutory mandates which it has. Secondly, we should also be aware of the election commissioner appointment, the newly vested or the newly made election commissioner's appointment. What is it? We have to look into it. Thirdly, we should also be aware of the electoral laws in India. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Why RBI has told card network to halt the unauthorized payment? So recently RBI has directed a particular card network to stop or curb the unauthorized payment. So this is what the news is about. First we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with GS paper 3, economic and social development, under a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource growth, development and employment. This is how the news has been related with examination. Okay. So the Reserve Bank of India has ordered the card network, but it hasn't provided the name of the network to stop the unauthorized payment done via business cards. So the regulator, without naming any, the RBI hasn't named any card. What it has said is that, see, the particular business card entity is allowing the business to make payments to entity that doesn't accept card payments, which is the violation of Payment and Settlement Act. And RBI has also raised the non-compliance of Know Your Customer, the KYC norms. So this is what the direction that has been issued by RBI with regards to the unauthorized payment made by the particular card network. So what was the alleged modus operandi is? See, RBI in a statement what it has said is that, see, noticed that the card network had an arrangement that enable business to make cards through certain intermediaries to entities that doesn't accept the card payments. So through an intermediaries, the card payments has been made to an entity which hasn't or does not accept the card payments, and under such arrangement the intermediaries was accepting the pool of funds from corporates and they are directing it to the entities which are accepting the funds. And what is the RBI concern in that is a close scrutiny by the RBI has found out that such arrangement has been qualified as payment system, payment only. But according to Payment and Settlement Act 2007, such payment requires authentication or authorization under section 4 of the Payment and Settlement Act. But this authorization hasn't been obtained in this case. So this is what the concern of RBI is about, and what are all the other concerns. So what the RBI said is that the first concern is the intermediaries in such an arrangement has pooled a large amount of money and they have transacted it to other entities for which they haven't obtained any kind of authorization. Secondly, the transaction processed under this arrangement did not comply with originator as well as the beneficiary information requirement as stipulated by the KYC norms as well as the Payment and Settlement Act 2007. So this is what the concerns that has been raised by RBI. So what's the RBI's action on the card network is? So RBI has advised the said card to keep all such arrangement under abeyance, that is to halt till further order, and however it has clarified that no restriction has been placed with respect to the normal usage of the business credit card transactions. And which card network has been restrained by RBI because of this notice is, see, while the RBI didn't name any card, it said only one card network has operationalized such an arrangement for enabling the corporate to make unauthorized card payment via business cards. There are 5 authorized card networks in India. One is Visa, second is MasterCard, third is RuPay, fourth is Dinner Club, and fifth is American Express. And one of the card networks, Visa, in a recent notification, what it has said is that they have directed the regulator, what they have said is that they have been directed by regulator to ensure that all business payment service provider transaction be kept in abeyance till further notice. So this is what the information being given by Visa card in the recent times. And BSPS, what does it means is, it is the business payment service provider. It is the service provider which offers business to business payment service to corporate using credit cards. It enables the corporate to improve cash flow. So this is what the payment service business payment service provider is about. Let's look into what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. We should be aware of what is RBI, its structure, function and mandate, and MPC, that is the Monetary Policy Committee, and its structure, function and mandate, and then banks as well as NBFC. So these are all the areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Shaktikant Das, Governor of India, has said that stable and low inflation to lay bedrock for the growth. But the recent times, the inflation or the projected the current inflation as well as the projected inflation is slightly above than the targeted level of 4%. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the details of the news. It is under prelims, it is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to economic development through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the details of the news. So the recurring food inflation and geopolitical concerns are the threat to the ongoing inflation. And RBI has left the repo rate unchanged to 6.5%, and the retail inflation, even though the retail inflation eased to 3 months low of 5.1% in January from 5.7% in December, but it continues to remain above the 4% threshold being mandated by RBI. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the details or the other parts of the news. So first we will look into what does this inflation is. Inflation refers to the rise in the price of most goods and services of daily or common use. It measures the average price change in the basket of commodities and service over time. Inflation is indicative of the decrease in the purchasing power. So this is what the inflation is, and this is what the implication of inflation is. And then we will look into the causes for inflation. There are three causes for inflation. One is cost push inflation, then inflation that has arisen because of increase in production cost, demand pull inflation, the inflation that has arisen because of increased demand from consumers, and the monetary factors like increased liquidity in the system. So these are all the things which causes inflation in an economy. And then there is also another causes like behavioral causes, that is because of expectation of inflation, people in the economy change their behavior accordingly, as a result of which there will be rise or there will be increase or decrease in inflation rate. So that is the fourth causes for inflation. So what is the effect of inflation is it erodes the purchasing power. Secondly, it disproportionately impacts the low income consumers, and the production cost increases, and then the uncertainty and then reduced investment will be happening in an economy, and then the international competitiveness of the local goods will be reduced, and then there will be overall there will be deceleration in economic growth. So this is what the effect of inflation in an economy is about. And what challenges the country will be facing in addressing the inflation is, the first and foremost challenge is the food price volatility, and then structural constraints. Thirdly, high dependence on imported commodities. So this is what the challenges in addressing the inflation in an economy is about. So what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of the Monetary Policy Committee, RBI as well as banks, their structure, function as well as mandate, and the objective under which they have been formed, and what are all the statutory laws that are backing this organization as well as committees. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. ISRO'S Naughty Boy rocket to launch the India's latest weather satellite today. So their news is related to the launch of INSAT 3DS. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the linkage of the news with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general science. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 3, science and technology, under a subtopic called awareness in the field of IT, space and computers. So this is how the news is been related with examination. Extreme climate affecting the country will soon be facilitated with data and high resolution images on the earth obtained from INSAT 3DS. It weighs around 2274 kgs and it is being funded by Ministry of Earth Science. It will enable the development of newer satellite products which could be deployed across different streams of problems being arised because of climate change, disaster and other disasters like man-made disasters and any other environmentally caused disasters. And this in INSAT 3DS shall further the observation of atmosphere, land as well as ocean. And it is the third generation meteorological satellite series from geostationary orbit, and the meteorologists make an extensive use of the data being generated by this INSAT series, which was started from 2003. And the advent of the satellite based products brought the significant improvements in forecast accuracy, monitoring of atmosphere and ocean parameters. So this is what the advantage as well as the detailed aspect of INSAT 3DS is about. So okay, let's look into further details of the news. It will enhance the meteorological service, leading to reduced error, and then there will be reduction in the loss of property life and livelihood. And INSAT 3DS comprise four payloads: a imager, sounder, a data relay transponder, and the satellite aided search and rescue transponder. So this is what the payloads being carried by INSAT 3DS is about. So what does the carrier, the launch vehicle which is going to carry the INSAT 3DS is about, that is GSLV F-14. It is more advanced rocket utilizing the rocket liquid propellant, and it has higher capacity, and then it is made of cryogenic liquid propellant in all the three stages. So this is what the details of the launch vehicle is about. What are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of PSLV, GSLV, its structure, and then the objective. Secondly, you should also be aware of types of orbits, and then World Meteorological Organization as well as Indian Meteorological Organization. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's look into today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share, subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel, so that you will be receiving daily current affair notification and also weekly environmental as well as science and tech current affair notification, which and any other series that will be brought in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.